Chapter 27. Once the big bastard with the sword had gone, the crowd felt it was safe enough to go into the alley and take a look at things there. The headless corpse caused a flurry of excitement, but what was more amazing was the fact that the guy who had been swung around on the point of the sword was still alive. The ambulance eventually arrived, along with the police, and Matunas was taken away to Bellevue Hospital, while Walter Bedsoe and Frank Moran were left to sort out the mess. Frank stood by the doctor as he made a brief examination of the corpse. He said to Bedsoe, "We've got to catch this nut soon. The mayor's going bananas." "At least people saw him this time." "Yeah, I guess so. Get any descriptions?" Bedsoe had been interviewing witnesses at the entrance to the alley, and he replied, "Yeah, one or two. A little conflicting, you know." Moran did indeed know. People told you what they thought was the truth, but often they were so shocked by the incident itself, the details of description got lost in the blood and gore. "What about the victim?" asked Moran. "Which one?" "The one that's having trouble walking around," replied Moran sarcastically. Foreigner. Passport was in his pocket. Name's Castigir. From Chad." "Where the hell's Chad?" "Africa." Moran screwed his eyes. "These victims come from all over. Seems like they hop on a plane to New York just to get decapitated. I wish I knew what this was all about." "The other guy, the one that was wounded, he's an American," said Bedsoe, as if it was almost a matter of national pride that one of the victims would be born and bred. "And we can talk to him?" "He's got a sword in the gut, but he's still alive. Give him a few hours to get over the operation and we'll get some information." Bedsoe then went home to a cold bed, and Frank Moran to his wife. She was waiting up for him when he got into their downtown apartment. "That you, Frank?" "Yeah." She always asked if it was him. He wondered who else was expected to come wandering in, using their own key. Once he had shouted, "No, it's a mugger!" in a funny voice, but she had not been amused. He walked into the living room where she was watching TV. "You want a cup of coffee?" "Please. Your supper's in the cellophane wrapping on the worktop. It's salad." "Okay, fine. Kids asleep?" "Yes. It was just on the news. The latest beheading." He took off his tie and unbuttoned his shirt collar wearily. "Yeah, but we're getting somewhere at last. Someone saw it this time." He went out and brought in the coffees and his supper. Then he sat down on the floor between her legs, his back resting against the foot of the chair, and ate his supper while she massaged the nape of his neck. "Oh, that's really good," he murmured. "Really good. Poor old Walter. I could see he didn't want to go back to his apartment. Must be pretty rough to be on your own still, at his age." "I thought he was chasing Brenda Wyatt," said Sally. "He was, but Brenda's a bit too classy for our Walt. Trouble with him is his eyes are bigger than his belly." Sally said, "Well, you managed to get a woman much classier than yourself." He smiled at her, upside down. "Yeah, but then I've always been a lucky bastard. Walt's a loser. He tries too hard." "And you didn't?" She smiled back. "Well, yeah, but I was a handsome swine. You couldn't resist me. What I lacked in class, I made up for in looks." She hit him round the head. The following morning, Moran and Bedso went down to Bellevue to see the victim. As they walked along the corridor, Moran said, "So, tell me what we've got on this guy, Matunas. What is he, on drugs?" Bedso mumbled, "No, he's a survival nut." "What do you mean, survival nut?" "Well, you know, he's into guns. He was a Marine, Vietnam. I talked to his ex-CO. He said that the guy was, a little paranoid, but a good commando." Moran stopped. "A gun nut with a twist to his barrel. Shit." "Well, he's all we've got, Frank." "I guess so. What was in his car?" Bedso listed the arsenal found in the trunk and around various parts of the vehicle. Frank Moran whistled. "Didn't do him a lot of good, did they? And what about the weapon we found near the body?" "It had been fired, a whole magazine of 32 rounds, some of which we found around the alley." "Let's go talk." They entered the private room to find Matunas propped up in bed. His face was the colour of bread paste, and there was a look of faraway pain in his eyes. No doubt his wound still hurt, even through the painkillers. He smiled weakly at the cops. These were his kind of people. Moran said, "How are you doing, fella?" Weakly, the reply came, "Okay, I guess, for a guy that just got 3 feet of steel crammed through his gut." Moran nodded. "Listen, you saw the guy that stuck you?" "Sure, close to me as you are now." Moran reached into his pocket and took out a photograph of Russell Nash. He held it in front of Matunas' face. "This the man?" Matunas said, "Are you kidding me?" "Is this him?" insisted Moran. He had a sinking feeling inside, and when Matunas said, "Nope," he knew that Nash was going to slip the net again. God damn it, he thought. I was so sure that it was that bastard. He had one more try. "Come on, quit kidding, Matunas. It was dark in that alley. You could have made a mistake." "Listen," said Matunas. "That freak was trying to kill me. I had plenty of time to see his face. Plenty. I could have reached out and touched his goddamn face. I'll never forget it." "Go on." "He had a scar across his neck, thick as 2 fingers. How tall is your guy?" "About 6'1", 6'2". "This freak was at least 7 feet tall. I tell you, he was built like the Empire State. He was like some friggin' giant out of a fairy tale. And he wasn't real, man. I filled his carcass with 303s and he just laughed at me." "Does that depress you?" "Yeah, but you don't grunt about depressed. I got me a schmeiser. I got me a trunk full of shotguns. I got me pistols and ammos until they're coming out of my ears, and I ain't safe. I can't protect myself. How the hell are you supposed to protect yourself when they won't go down?" "Take it easy," said Moran as Matunas was shouting. "That weirdo, man! He got up after I put enough lead in him to drop a rhino." "Listen," said Moran. "Do you think you could work with one of our artists?" Matunas calmed down a little. Sure, yes. Maybe come up with a picture of this guy." "Sure. Listen, I know you guys think I'm nuts. That's why I haven't told you about what happened afterwards." "What happened afterwards?" Matunas described the neon signs exploding and the lightning streaking down through the brickwork. "Sounds crazy, don't it?" Bedso said, We have other reports that confirm what you saw, and the physical evidence, the blown neons. Maybe that wasn't anything to do with it, though. Matunas nodded. Oh, it was all right. I could see his face. He was getting a kick out of it. You'd think he'd just taken speed, the way he was reacting. Is that it? All of it? That's it. They left him then, and walked off down the corridor. Bedso said to Moran, It's getting like one step beyond. Moran nodded. Yeah, but listen. When the press come, remember, all we've got is an eyewitness. Don't say anything about sword fights or guys glowing in the dark, for Christ's sake. Okay, Frank.